This is kind of a question to those of you who have moved countries. What did you think how it was going to go? When I first moved to England, I honestly just thought I was starting a completely new life. Everything felt super exciting. It was a new country, new people, new language, new culture. Everything was just new and different. And in a way, it did feel kind of like I was stepping into a world or a life that I've always dreamed of and I've always wanted. I don't want you to think, after you read the title, that I regret moving or that I don't ever think people should be moving. I honestly truly think it was one of the coolest things I've ever done. And moving abroad is something that I think everyone should at least try or check out sometime. But I also do think that it is romanticized a lot online and on social media. And maybe I've even been kind of a victim of this in a way. Although I suppose 10 years ago when I moved, it wasn't really that big of a thing yet, or at least I wasn't really part of that bubble. But now you kind of go onto like Instagram or YouTube or TikTok, and every other video is almost about traveling, solo traveling, people checking out new countries, and I guess you could even say people making traveling their whole personality. The main reasons people always give is kind of having a fresh start, reinventing themselves, finding yourself, whatever that means. And I guess that is a huge part of it, and it is a huge truth. But I do think a lot of people don't really talk about the struggles that they go through, and don't talk about sort of the endless hours spent on filling out paperwork, getting visas, sorting out your new life, having to do all of that without much support really. Spending birthdays, big events, you know, things like that without your family, or watching your family spending dinners together, celebrating Christmas, celebrating milestones, and you're not able to be there with them. And also that kind of feeling of just not really belonging anywhere. People don't really talk about that. And I think that is definitely something that I've had to kind of grapple with the past decade, on and off quite a lot. And it's sort of been, in a way, like the biggest surprise for me about moving to England. And I guess when I first moved here, Germany was just my home because that's where I grew up, that's where my family is, and that's just all I've known. And England, I kind of saw England as just like this like temporary thing. I guess this like temporary country that I'm going to live in now. And I guess over time something changed that I guess I wasn't really expecting, or maybe part of me really, really desperately wanted it. But you know, from it just being a temporary thing, it then starts to become your home. It's where you meet friends, it's where I met my boyfriend, it's where you settle down. And over time, you know, things don't just feel familiar or you're just used to it now, but it does just become home. It's a really nice thing when this new place that you've moved to is your home, but also it is so confusing, especially for like, you know, your identity. And I think for me, because I've already grown up with kind of a bit of a split sense of belonging, partly feel like I belong to Croatia, partly feel like I belong to Germany. But now you've got this like third country that you've successfully made your home. Now that I'm moving back to Germany, which is what I kind of saw as home, again, it feels like I'm leaving my home behind because England is my home now. And I guess also because my boyfriend is English, he is definitely leaving his home behind. So I guess I'm kind of carrying some of those feelings with me as well, because we've got his family here who now are also my family. So it's a lot of confusing feelings. And I think a lot of people, when they move to a different country kind of permanently, they probably think, oh, you're just closing down one chapter and kind of reopening a new one, and that's it. You've kind of moved away from that and you're not going to look back. But that's in reality not really how it feels, because it kind of feels more like you now belong in multiple different places. And I guess that also feels like you don't really belong in either place fully, which is really weird. And I always like to describe it as like, you know, different puzzle pieces that are left in the different countries, and you now don't really know where you belong, because to make that puzzle whole, you need all the different pieces together. You can't just have one piece, because that just doesn't feel right anymore. And I think what I've also realized is, you know, moving away, it doesn't really change who you are. It's weird because in a weird sense, of course it does change who you are, because you grow in, you're making new memories, you are collecting new information, you are learning new cultures, a new language perhaps. So of course you do change, but it doesn't mean that you're going to develop a whole new version of yourself. And I think that's obviously what I, in a way, back then hoped I would achieve. And I suppose that's what I wanted to achieve in a way. People think they're going to become happier, they're going to become more confident, they're going to be more successful, they're going to be less anxious maybe. But it doesn't really matter where you go or what place you go to. You're always going to take yourself with you. You know, grass is always greener. But you got to remember, if you struggle with things like feeling lonely, anxiety, or other kind of difficulties, you are taking those with you. And I guess, you know, moving countries, it will of course change your environment, and it will maybe give you new strength and energy and maybe a new perspective because you've broadened your horizon. But you do have to remember that it's not going to do the inner work for you. And I think that's part of the reason why I always say people should try and move, if they have the opportunity, try and move somewhere else, because yeah, it does open up new possibilities for you. You know, it shows you that there isn't just one way of living. The world is so big and there are so many different people and different cultures and, you know, different just ways of living available. And if you feel like the way people live in your country maybe doesn't really align with who you are or how you want to live, and that's completely fine. There are so many other countries that you can go and explore, and so many other places where you can pick up new ways of living, and that might, you know, align better with how you imagine your life to be. People start to realize that the way they grew up isn't just the only way of living normally, whatever that means. You of course become more adaptable, you become more resilient. That's definitely something that I've noticed, that just over time, because I've had to become independent so quickly and just figure things out all by myself, I have become more resilient and I have become more adaptable. And of course you also become more open-minded, because yeah, you meet so many different people and you see that different ways of living are also normal and cool. And of course it makes you more grateful as well, because you realise that home isn't just a place where you were born in, but it's of course the people that you've met along the way, the friends and family that you grew up with, or, you know, the new friends that you've made along the way over time, the places that you always used to go to, like cafes, bakeries, whatever. Those like little things that are special to you, and of course only you know what those things are. You know, the gym that we go to, people recognise us. The walk that we do feels familiar. The area that we live in feels familiar. Everything is just, it feels like home isn't the place, but obviously it's a feeling. Like, I know it's a really cringy saying, but it does kind of ring true, because it's those little things that just feel like home. And I think that's probably what makes this move so difficult and emotional, because to me it feels like I'm almost having to choose between England and Germany, but it's not really a choice that I want to make, because both are really important and special to me. It feels like I'm saying goodbye to like one version of what my home looks like while trying to build another home. And I guess the question is, would I still move abroad if I knew that I could change my mind and go back? And the answer is absolutely. Without any hesitation, I would always choose the move if I knew that home is always going to stay home. But I think having been through all of this, I definitely don't want to romanticize how difficult it is and how many struggles you go through over the years, and depending how long you want to stay in a place. It is really, really difficult, and it is just really mentally straining. It's so many different things. It's lonely, it's exciting, it's frustrating, it's beautiful, but it can also be anxiety provoking. And I guess because it comes with so many different emotions and feelings, I think that's what makes it so special. And I think that's why people choose to go back time and time again and choose to do the next move, or go on the next trip or holiday, or the next travel abroad, because it is just so unique. And I guess the closing thought, I feel like traveling and moving abroad, it doesn't transform your life, but it does over time transform you and who you are. And I guess it would be really cool to hear from you guys if you have been traveling, if you have been abroad, or if you're thinking of going abroad and going traveling. Do you feel like maybe you are kind of romanticizing it a little bit because of the stuff that you see on social media and because of the things that you see people talking about online? Or do you feel like you've got quite a realistic idea of what it will be? Yeah, it would be very cool to hear your thoughts and feelings, and any questions that you maybe have as well. Thank you for watching. Bye.